Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all my virtual world Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for November 2020. This is one of the new decks we got out of the Phantom Rage booster set. I actually had no plans to originally build this deck, but all the cards, I actually just kept pulling them from booster packs that I opened and was able to trade for a good amount of the deck as well. So I figured I'd bring you all a deck profile. It's a Psychic Worm type of deck that focuses on different Xyz and Synchro summons, which I think is really cool. Incorporating all of the different summons into a deck are one of my favorites in the Yu-Gi-Oh series, ones that just have, mix and match of everything. And if we get some fusions and link monsters for this deck in the future as well, I think that'll definitely be a big boost for sure in overall power for the deck. And if they include other types of monsters aside from just Psychic and, Worm, a very versatile one at that. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the monsters, one of our main ones is Virtual World Maihime Lulu, with this one being one of the Psychics and one of the tuners in the deck. If this card is in your hand, you can target one Virtual World card you control, send one Virtual World card of a different type, monster, spell, or trap from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do special summon this card, then you can add one Virtual World card of the third type from your deck to your hand, except for Virtual World Maihime Lulu for the rest of this turn. You can only special summon rank 3 or level 3 higher monsters, and you can only use this effect of Virtual World Maihime once per turn. So with this one, you have your setup, being able to set up a bunch of different, Virtual World spell or traps in your graveyard. Benefits because they have banish effects that let you search out other cards or adjust levels of your different Virtual World monsters on the field. And the fact that Maihime is a level 3 monster, but also a tuner, works for the majority of the Synchro and Xyz summons you'll do in the deck, because you have level 6 Synchros, level 9 Synchros, and also your rank 3 and also your rank 6 monsters to go into. So being able to adjust those levels and have set up in your graveyard to go for makes most of the monsters you will run in the deck a 3 of count, just so you have consistency to open up into all of them. With the third monster, 3 of count, not third monster, this is only our second one going into, is Virtual World Hime and Yan Yan. So also with this one being a Psychic monster, if a level 3 monster is normal or special summoned to your field while this card's in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card as a tuner, but banish it when it leaves the field. Also, for the rest of this turn, you can only special summon level 3 or rank 3 higher monsters, and if this card's banished, you can target one of your other banished cards, shuffle it into the deck. You can only use each effect of Virtual World Hime and Yan Yan once per turn. I love that name as well, but more setup, and this one's just an easy special summon, which you can also set up in the graveyard with other cards, like Lulu being able to prepare your special summon. And when you have both of the monsters on the field, it basically gives you the overlay or the synchro option, depending on which play you want to set up with these cards on the field. Maximum numbers of all of them, because you're going to go through your resources pretty quickly with all these cards as well. And for some of the level 3 worm monsters, we're running 3 Virtual World Jezi, I believe is how you pronounce it, maybe I'm wrong, Gigi. If this card is in your hand, you can target one Virtual World card you control, send one Virtual World card of a different type, sharing the effect with your Lulu, and then sending it to the graveyard, then adding a card of the third type to your hand from your deck. So very easy with this from the graveyard, being able to special summon the card. And during the end phase, you can add one Virtual World monster from your graveyard to your hand, except for Virtual World Gigi. And for the rest of this turn, you can only special summon level 3 or rank 3 or higher monsters. So it's more graveyard setup, shuffle back, not having the same search power as Lulu, but more of the graveyard recycle power with plenty of the other different cards you add back to your hand. But all working very well together for that setup, because with all of your different Virtual World monsters, you can control the setup you'll have in your graveyard as well and what you want to go into. For some of the higher level Virtual World monsters, I run 3 Virtual World Roshi Lao Lao. If this card, it's also a tuner, so very useful when you want to go into your higher level synchro monsters as well. With this one, if this card's in your hand, you can target one Virtual World card you control, send one Virtual World card of a different type, monster, spell, or trap from your deck to the graveyard. If you do special summon this card, then you can special summon one Virtual World monster from your graveyard in defense position with a different name than the card sent to the graveyard and negate its effects. For the rest of this turn, you can only special summon level 3 or rank 3 or higher monsters, and you can only use this effect of Roshi Lao Lao once per turn. But that the monster effect may be negated on the field, but at least you have your setup for your level 9 plays to go into with these cards. And the fact that Lao Lao is another tuner just adds for that playstyle, also being one of your defensive cards in the deck, with the last of the setup for our monsters being Virtual World Kirin Lili. With this one, if this card's in your hand, you can target one virtual world card you control, send one virtual world card of a different type, monster, spell, trap, from your deck to the graveyard. If you do special summon this card, then you can send one virtual world card of the third type from your deck to the graveyard. So the sending to the graveyard, just like I said, more setup with these cards. They all work very, very well together for the same basic play style, and then also limiting to what you can special summon for that turn, but still great for the setup because you have plenty of options and you're not limited at all with your extra deck summoning with these cards either. For more of the Psychic setup, I decided to turn more to the Psychic monsters for the support. In this deck, I run 3 Psychic Trackers. If you control a level 3 monster other than Psychic Tracker, you can special summon this card from your hand. In defense position, you can only special summon Psychic Tracker once per turn this way. A Synchro monster that uses this card as material gains 600 attack. So you're not only limited to just the Psychic monsters we run to special summon this card out on the field, you can even have your level 3 Worm monsters out, but also with this card, it's just an easy special summon, and you have the benefit of using this card as a synchro play. So if you do summon out a synchro monster with this card, you can still give it the 600 attack point boost, which will definitely come in handy, but also giving you the option to go into the Xyz monsters with this card, because you're not limited. If you special summon this card, you can still special summon into an Xyz monster. You won't get the attack boost, but you'll still be able to have that easy resource on the field. Psychic Tracker can only be used once per turn, but running 3 of it means we'll see this card more often in the deck as just that good card to special summon out on the field, being that extended resource. And then for the hand trap option, I run the 3 Ash Blossom, and also as just my preferred choice, I haven't actually run this card in a while, but I am running the 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit as well. With this one, it's a Psychic monster, making it all the better because we are running emergency teleport in this deck. So with that being another special summon target, you can still use this card on the field as that option, but still being able to destroy your opponent's cards and having both of these hand trap options as level 3 monsters to use for our synchro summons, or even just, our rank 3 exceeds. They add a lot for that playstyle that the main deck of monsters is meant to go for anyway. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. The one spell, and card for this deck that I couldn't complete a playset for, but you definitely want to run 3 of it, is Virtual World City Kowloon. With this one, you place one Virtual World Gate card from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. Then you can apply any of the following effects in sequence based on the number of Virtual World Gate cards you control. If you have 2 or more, all Virtual World monsters you control gain 200 attack this turn. If it's 3 or more, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. If it's 4 or more, special summon up to 4 Virtual World monsters with different names from your extra deck. You can only activate 1 Virtual World City Kowloon per turn. If you have the 4 or more, the fact that you'll summon out all those extra deck monsters is a big plus on the field for sure, depending on what you want to summon out. The boost, the graveyard setup, this is definitely a 3 of in the deck. You can only activate 1 per turn, but as long as you have that setup, the more and more you activate it throughout the duel, the more Virtual World cards you should have set up on the field also, because a good amount of them are the continuous spell and traps that you'll have. And the more support we get for this deck, the stronger it'll definitely become also with all the different ones we will eventually have. And I also run one of the continuous spells at max number, and that is Virtual World Gate King Long. You can banish 1 Virtual World card from your graveyard, then target 1 face-up monster on the field, negate its effects until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Virtual World monster from your deck to your hand, then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. You can only use each effect of Virtual World Gate King Long once per turn. For a common, it is an amazing card. For that setup, it can stop your opponent's monster effects, being able to negate that effect, and then having search power from the graveyard means even if it's sent to the graveyard, banishing it to add more resources to your hand, and then setting up more cards that you could potentially have in your hand that you want in the graveyard, make it a definite 3 of. And the fact that you can easily set it up with Kowloon is just an added bonus. And I also run the 3 Foolish Burial Goods, just being able to set these cards up that much faster in the graveyard makes it very useful in the deck. If we get more spell and traps with the graveyard boost, which I'm sure we will with this deck, it'll definitely stay at its 3 of number. If you wanted to drop down 1 of this card for any additional psychic support, you can try that out, but still I like running the 3 of it just so we see this card more often for the graveyard setup. If we need more of the monster search for some particular cards in our hand also. I also run the 2 Psychic Path. You pay 800 life points to select up to 2 of your remove from play psychic type monsters and add them to your hand, which you run plenty of, especially in the case of Nyan, being able to add this card back to our hand to reuse as well. With this card, we don't use our life points for too much in the deck, so just the 800 point cost for this card and for that recycle power definitely comes in handy. For some of the one-ofs, I'm running 1 E-Emergency. I keep saying E-Emergency. That's E-Emergency Call for Yu-Gi-Oh! Elemental Hero monsters, but it's just Emergency Teleport. With this card, you special summon 1 level 3 or lower Psychic type monster from your hand or deck, but banish it during the end of this turn. But with this, it's just easy to summon out your Psychic monster onto the field, regardless of which one it might be, giving you the resources on the field to use, and then also not being able to take up your normal summon for more and more plays for you to have with this card. I also run the 1 Call by the Grave and the 1 Harpy Feather Duster, just for additional stable support and taking care of your opponent's graveyard and destroying their back row so you can, summon out plenty of your Xyz and Synchro monsters with no fear. And that is it for the spells. For the traps, the only trap I'm running in the deck is Virtual World Gate. Shushe, I believe, is how you pronounce it. Continuous trap. You can target 1 face-up card in the field. Shuffle 2 of your banished Virtual World cards with different names from each other into the deck, then destroy that card. During the main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Virtual World monster you control. Increase or decrease its level or rank by 3 until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of Virtual World Gate Shushe once per turn. But the fact that you can set this card up face up with your Kowloon makes it that much faster for you to resolve this card. The banish from the graveyard for the level adjustment as well. This could be another card you could potentially run at 3, and you would take out 1 of the Foolish Burial Goods just because you have plenty of, hand support, just for you to set up this card that much faster in the graveyard, along with all the other different Virtual World cards. If you just want to run max numbers, so you don't have the risk of your opponent banishing this card, let's say with some of their cards like Cosmic Cyclone, and having full use of this card. Even if they do banish it, you have other ways to recycle it back into the deck also. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I have the 1 of the Virtual World QB Shen. This could potentially be a second copy if you want to remove 1 of the other level 9 synchros when we get to it. But you just need 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters to make this card, making it another easier level 9 because you can use 1 of your level 6, even 1 of the level 6 tuners, including Lao Lao, to summon this card out, and 1 of the level 3s, and then you can summon it. Any card sent from the field to the graveyard is banished instead. You can only use each of the following effects of QB once per turn. When your monster declares an attack, you can return 1 banished monster from the owner's graveyard, and then during the main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish 1 other monster for this card. And basically, with this original type and attribute from the other one, and special summon this card from the graveyard. So you have recycle power, setup, and the fact that you'll banish a lot of your opponent's other monsters, and with its attack stat and defense stat being quite high for it being a level 9 synchro, you definitely want to run at least 2 of this card. But like I said, for the other numbers, I'll show what to take out for them. For the synchro lineup, I also run 2 Virtual World Beasts, Yugioh. With this one, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while you have 2 or more monsters in your graveyard with the same original type and attribute, but different names. And you can banish 2 monsters from your graveyard with the same original type and attribute, but different names, then target 1 card on the field and send it to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Virtual World Yugioh once per turn. So the send effect gets around cards that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. Great for that for sure. And being a level 6 synchro, a little more easier to summon out because you have to use the higher level monsters or more resources to go into Shen. For some of the generic synchros, I run the 1 Stardust Charge Warrior, the 1 Bryonak, the 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier, and the 1 Mistworm. If you wanted to add in an additional copy of Shen, you could try taking out the Mistworm or the Bryonak. I definitely do like running Stardust Charge Warrior and Trishula being easy cards to make use of for draw power and getting rid of more of your opponent's resources for sure. For the Xyz monsters, I run 2 of the Virtual World Dragon Long. You need 2 or more level 3 monsters with the same type and attribute. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects while it has Xyz material. When your opponent activates this effect of a monster with an attribute that is not on their field while they control a face-up monster, quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card, negate the activation of that card. I believe it's actually 2 material. This is a new card I've been practicing with, but it actually is the 2 material for it. Negating the activation, you can only use this effect of Virtual World Dragon once per turn, but a big resource for just what is a rank 3 monster on the field. So remember that, but still a great card to stop your opponent and their plays. I also run 2 Virtual World Shell Jaja. With this one, it's not as limited to what you can summon out with your Long, but once per turn you can detach 1 material from this card and target 1 face-up monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by battle until the end of your opponent's turn, and once per turn after damage, calculate this card battled an opponent's monster while you have 2 or more monsters in your graveyard with the same original type and tribute as each other. You can banish that opponent's monster. Just another great way to play defensively against your opponent, but still take care of their resources. I also run 1 of the rank 6 Virtual World Phoenix Fan. With this needing 2 level or more level 6 monsters, which you can easily do with all the different level 6 we run in the deck for the Virtual Worlds. Detaching 2 from this card to target 1 face-up card your opponent controls and 1 card in their graveyard and banish them. And if this Xyz summoned card is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster or by an opponent's card effect while in the monster zone, you can special summon 2 Virtual World monsters with the same type and attribute as each other from your deck, and you can only use this effect of Phoenix once per turn. So in the sense of a Phoenix, it will special summon resources for you to summon out Virtual World Dragon Long onto the field, or even go into one of your synchro plays. For some of the generic XYZs, I also run the 1 Totem Bird. For the wind monsters, it's a great spell and trap negation card on the field. The 1 Leviair, the Sea Dragon, special summoning back resources onto the field to use, and 1 True King of all calamities. We have plenty of ways to get 2 level 9 synchros on the field, which then, if need be, we can overlay them together to make this powerhouse of an Xyz monster also. And then as for your go-to plays, like I said, with some of the spell setup, if you just set up your level 3 tuner on the field and then have the Psychic Tracker in your hand, you're able to special summon this card out onto the field, and then a variety of options will come from there. Even if you have your emergency, I keep saying emergency teleport. It just shows how long it's been since I played this card. Your emergency teleport, you can special summon an additional psychic monster onto the field and then have plenty of the resources to either go into your Xyz monster with your Virtual World Dragon Long. Remember, they have to be the same type and attribute, so you can use the 2 you summon off of them to summon this card out. But if you even wanted to just have these 3 resources to go into your synchro monster, which will be your true boss monster, for that being your Shen. You can summon this card out, and with it having the 2800 attack, it will also have the additional 600 attack from the Psychic Tracker on the field, also setting up Yan and Lulu in the graveyard, and also any card sent with this card afterwards will be banished, which then you can recycle with other cards, including your trap card on the field. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. It's definitely a deck I enjoyed looking into. I actually didn't know much about this deck until all the cards, were gathered up by me just by pure luck for this booster set. But definitely glad I did, look into it. I have to see if there's going to be anything else released for this deck in the future. I'll definitely like to look into it for sure. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.